Bright, okay, that you have used for entering the webinar. And with this, I will start by introducing myself. My name is Maite Carracedo. I'm working at Funding Box, but I'm today here representing the I4MS coordination and support action that is called I4MS for TIS. For those newcomers to this type of webinars who don't know what I4MS stands for or what a coordination and support action is, I will explain you. I4MS is the initiative of the European Commission that is supporting the digital transformation of manufacturing SMEs. And the coordination and support action is a type of activity that is clustering all the initiatives inside I4MS, and is also supporting in giving visibility to the brand and also to the main results and digital solutions that we are developing here. So in this framework, and maybe my colleague Maria will pass the slides for me. Thank you, Maria. In the framework of this CSA, we have decided to join other similar initiatives that are currently working for the digital transformation of SMEs in this European ecosystem. Those are also coordination and support actions or ecosystem initiatives that we meet regularly. We work together in order to identify synergies and challenges, but also we work towards a common goal. We try to make our message easier to be understood by the SMEs. And also we try to facilitate the tools and the services that we are providing to the ecosystem, right? To those intermediary bodies, like in this case, you are, right? Digital innovation hubs and candidate EDIs can be a very good middleman for connecting our offer with the demand that is coming from the local level. And as a good example of this collaboration is the seminar or the webinar we are running today, right? Where we were sitting together, mapping our offer for you and putting it together in a session that is going to take 90 minutes, okay? Where we hope, we will be able to clarify how you can take profit of our offer for you. So next slide, Maria. Yes. And indeed, what you can take from this webinar today? Well, looking at the functions of an EDI, but also looking at the DIHs that are already operational or starting to work, we think that we can help you in both functions, at local level and also on what we call the EU dimension, right? At local level, for all of you, DIHs and candidate EDIs, we can offer by offering you, we can support by offering you the tools, services, and also funding opportunities that you can use on your daily activities with the companies. And now looking mostly at the EDIs, we also think we can play a major role in helping you to connect to this European ecosystem, right? So as you need to show, right, your collaboration at European level, connecting with us and the way we will suggest today to you will be a very good way for you to show this European dimension and start creating structural collaborations maybe with other EDIs through these networks. And with this, I will show you the agenda for today, where after my short presentation now, I will give the floor to Elena Rodriguez from the European Commission. We will inform you about the last news regarding the Digital Euro program and some framework information to all our presentations. Then we have my colleague Maurits Butter from DNet Project, who will give us also a framework, right? So on how these macro initiatives can help you on your daily operations, right? To give you some ideas. And with this, I will give the floor to all the members of this collaborative committee. Some of the initiatives are oriented to DIHs and EDIs. Some others are not directly oriented to this, but still you might find very useful information and tools by listening to them. After this pitching session of all of them, also we will comment on the Slido results. This means that, and I will introduce now, during the session, you will have access to a poll where we want to know also about your opinion and your feedback. All your questions we will try to answer them at the end of the session. Okay, and with this we will finalize our agenda for today at 12:30. Finally, some practical information. All the presentations will be available for you at the I4MS community. You will also receive a follow-up email after the registration where you will have the link to the presentations. Also, please, we are more than 600 people registered, okay? So it is very important that you mute your micro and your cameras so that we will not have problems with the connection. For your questions, please use the chat. My colleague Lucy will be moderating the chat. She will help me identifying those questions at the end of the session. So I will try to send them to the panelists at the end. And finally, as I was commenting, we will use Slido for raising some questions for you. So you will be also able to give us your feedback and we will comment on your results with the rest of the panelists at the end of the session. You can either use a QR or you can use the link that we have included there, and it's also, I think, in the chat right now, just by introducing the specific code for this session. And with this, I will give the floor to our representative from the European Commission, Elena Rodriguez, who is our project officer and a very good colleague of us, who will give you some last news about the process for EDIs in Digital Europe and some other useful information. So please, Elena, floor is yours.
Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Maite, for your presentation, and thank you, Maite and Maria, for organizing this webinar. So as you know, this webinar comes because when we had the big EDIH event in January, you come up with a lot of questions. So we have decided to organize some webinars to address some of your questions and to hear more from you and to discuss open things with you. And this is the second webinar that we are organizing. Well, Maria, can you go to the next slide, please? So I will go directly to an information that you are always very keen to know, of course. That is the expected timeline that we have for the restricted EDIH call. And please bear in mind that this is still a draft timeline, as the work program it's not yet adopted. So the latest information that we have now is that the open call, the call will open on the 27th of May, and then we will have the open call during 4 months. So it will close on the 29th of September. Then the evaluation that it will be fully remote, it will happen in October and November this year. That means that the outcome of the evaluation it will be in December. So in December, the Commission will be in the position to send to all the candidates that have submitted proposals. We will send to you the result of this evaluation and to inform who will be funded. And then in January, we'll be able to sign the contracts and start finally the first projects. Maria? Yeah, thank you. Well, at the beginning, I talked about the webinars that we are organizing. And in this link here in the Europa website, you'll find information about the next webinars. So we are planning the next webinar for the 13th of April about the collaboration between different EDIHs and in the network, include the transnational cross-border hubs and corridors. We had a lot of questions about that. On the 27th of April, we will have a webinar about the co-funding and state aid. And in May, we don't have the final date defined, but in May, we will have a webinar to present you the digital maturity tool and to receive feedback from you and to discuss with you how we are planning to have the digital maturity tool. Maria, can you go to the next slide? And it's my last slide. So why we are here today? So the aim of this meeting today, as Maite already presented at the beginning, but it's to present to you, the EDIH candidates, the services and the products, the tools, the platforms that were developed under the Horizon 2020, and explain to the candidates, EDIH, how you can benefit from the experience from the H2020 projects. So indeed, in the Horizon 2020, we have invested 500 million in the research projects, and a lot of good results, a lot of, as I said, a lot of products, tools, platforms were developed. And so now it's, I think, a big opportunity for the EDIH to see and to understand how you can benefit from that, how you can use these platforms and integrate in the services that you will provide to the SMEs. So in fact, in the Horizon 2020, under the focus area, digitizing and transforming European industry and services, in topics like smart anything everywhere, robotics, I4MS, photonics, big data. So a lot of innovation actions projects were funded, and as I said, so new products were developed, and in these projects, so a lot of SMEs were funded in these projects using this instrument, the financial support to third parties. So we were already trying this digital transformation and helping and having access directly to the SMEs already in H2020. But now, so it's really a main focus, a main objective of the Commission with the Digital Europe program to have the digitalization of the industry available to everyone, everywhere, to everyone in all the countries, all the member states. So, and we have also, a part of the Innovation Actions projects, we have also the CSAs projects, so the coordinating and support actions, like the I4MS 40, so the project that is organizing this webinar, and the main goal or the objective of the CSA is indeed, as Maite already presented, to do this matchmaking between the supply and the demands. So to put everyone in contact, the DIH, the SMEs, the Innovation Action projects. So in this presentation, in the workshop today, you will have access. So you will, some of these Innovation Actions projects will do presentations about what they have developed and what they are still developing in their projects, and see how you can benefit from that. So I finish here my presentation. I pass the floor to Maite, I think. Enjoy the presentation. Thanks a lot. And I'm here for a question if you have any question during the webinar.
Thank you so much, Elena. And then I will give now the floor to Maurits Butter, who will give you an overview on how these huge initiatives or CSA or ecosystem projects, right, can connect with you, right, and how EDIHs can benefit of this collaboration in a more also operational way. So Maurits, please.
Thank you, Maite. Yes, I'm very happy to give you some kind of an overview of how the connection between the EDIHs and the digital innovations hubs and the European networks can be. Can you go to the next slide? So just the first introduction of the DNet. I think most of you know the DNet project. We will be ending in the coming November. So I will not give a lot of attention to what we can offer. I would like to say that we've got an overview on the website of all the calls, all the FSTP calls that are out there on our website, and I'm posting it right now in the chat box. But my presentation will much more focus on our idea about the connection between the CSAs, innovation actions, and the EDIs. Next slide, please. So it is about how to connect the competence centers, digital innovation hubs, the European digital innovation hubs, to those European networks. Next slide, please. This is just an overview of a kind of an approach, how we see the connection between the European layers, the national layers, the regional layers, and the SMEs. In the end, it is all about the SMEs and mid-caps. So 1.5 million or even more SMEs are interested in the work that we do on digital transformation. And to look at the layer that is providing that expertise to those SMEs, that's where the digital innovation hubs and the competence centers and also the upcoming EDIs are focused on. And then at a higher level, through after the member states, there's a huge number of European networks. We made a calculation that there's more than 100 innovation actions that are available for the help of those European digital innovation hubs later on, and digital innovation hubs and competence centers to provide their access, their services to the SMEs. So next slide, please. And this is how we see a kind of a potential configuration of those digital innovation hubs, EDIs, and the networks. So at the regional level, the services are provided towards the industry. That's where the industrial services are supplied. At the member state level, there's a kind of an organization of the member states with regards to regions that is organized through a national body. And you can see some clusters there. You can see at certain moments some project offices that are aligning the activities of digital innovation hubs and competence centers. But the European level, there's the innovation actions, the CSAs are there, DNet is also there, that are providing the service to connect the different digital innovation hubs inter-regionally to each other in order to help them to align their services and to make a European collaboration possible. Can you go to the next slide, please? And this is how we see the European Digital Innovation Hub network. So there's up to 210 EDIs that are becoming available in the regions to connect to each other. But it's an enormous amount. So 210 entities, that's 210 factorial, which is this number of potential collaborations. It's a huge number, and that's far too much. You cannot organize that. So can you go to the next slide? And that's where the European networks are coming. Those networks are there to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of those interregional European collaborations. But they're focused on specific communities with specific content focus. So robotics, or even a lower element of robotics, maintenance robotics. So all those innovation actions are providing services to share the capacities and capabilities that are there within the regions, and to synchronize the efforts on a European level. And you can understand these EU networks can help the EDIs and also the digital innovation hubs. Next slide, please. So what are the key assets of those European networks? We identified those 5 key assets. They will have a huge access to information on infrastructure's expertise that is available in Europe on their specific topics. They do not only have the information, but they also have the contacts. So they have trustworthy contacts to those key players that will be able to share those capacities. and they also have expertise in how to initiate those interregional European collaborations. And what is also very interesting for you is they've got access to capital. As I have posted in the chat box, that's an overview of all the money that is available for SMEs in Europe. And you can use that money also, of course, for your stakeholders to engage in European collaboration. And last, I would say, but not least, it's also about a brand. They are very much connected to status. They've got a good status in the European community. Yes, please, next slide. So now looking at the pains and the gains of those European digital innovation hubs. What we see is that those assets can help you. They can help you solve some pains that you have. And I'll just focus on the gains that you can take. They will have that overview of relevant information that is important to you. And I'm sure you all have experienced a problem with information overload. It's about finding new businesses. It's about creating economy of scales. They have a channel to other regions. So that's important. And all those elements are there to help you do that. And then I come to the last slide. So how to get that into your EDI proposal? Please create a view on how you see that collaboration. What are your ambitions? And identify the priority networks that you would like to collaborate with. And you can include that all in a task. So that task can be about joining regular events, providing information networks, your offerings, and then also how you can broker the SMEs to the upcoming FSTP calls and how to join the community platforms. And also use them as mechanisms to connect others to your services. So that was my introduction. And I think that the other innovation actions will give you more concrete overview of tools.
Indeed. Thank you, Maurits. We are now starting the pitching session from the other coordination actions and big projects. We will start with Maike from Smart Anything Everywhere. So Maike, please go ahead. Floor is yours.
Yes, hello, thank you very much and good morning to everybody. So my name is Maike Reimann. I'm from Steinbeiß in Germany, but also the coordinator of the Coordination and Support Action Smart for Europe, which is the CSA for the Smart Anything Everywhere initiative. And here you can go to the next slide. So I'm very shortly going to tell you something about the initiative as such. The next slide, I think it's very, very related to the audience today, which is mainly the EDIHs, the candidates, but I think also other people interested in the overall ecosystem. So maybe as a repetition, but still important from this initiative, but also I think for your proposals, it will be really the two main goals. So one is to support European startups, SMEs, mid-caps in their digital transformation. So I think this is a very overarching goal, but also to build and consolidate a sustainable pan-European network of European digital innovation hubs or digital innovation hubs as such. So next slide. As an example, the Smart Anything Everywhere initiative, which is a sister initiative of I4MS. I4MS is rather targeted on manufacturing only, or is this like this can be health, transport, this can be other things than manufacturing. And here, this was running since 2016. And we had a lot of innovation actions there. So you can see all the logos of the innovation actions in different areas. So this goes from systems integration to cyber physical systems, to customized low energy computing, to flexibles and variables. So there's different areas and those innovation actions are within them. And the ones circled in red are the ones still running. And then I have the one in green, which is the CSA. So next slide. The CSA, Smart for Europe 2, which is kind of the follow-up of Smart for Europe 1, is kind of the connecting point of this ecosystem. Next slide. And here I'm already diving into some tools and opportunities and services that we have that might be very relevant for you as well. So having 7 minutes, I cannot dive into all of that, but I would really recommend you to kind of go on our website and explore them more. And if we have anybody from the initiative in that call, you could maybe share the link to the website. Otherwise, I'm going to do that later. So what we are focusing on in the CSA, Coordination Support Action, is really to provide enabling services. So this is the innovation portal that we have, marketplace, we have a service center. These are all things that might be very relevant for you as well. But we also kind of do some sharing of best practices, like dissemination activities, so things to really enable the network to consolidate. But we also want to grow the network, so which is your aim too, I guess, like attracting the customers or the SMEs and the mid-caps, really brokering between users and suppliers, matching people, matching services, also going out to liaise with other initiatives, which, we have been doing a lot with the speakers from before, like DNet and IFRMS. So we have kind of consolidated an overall network maybe already in these terms. And we want to make such a network sustainable. So we also have kind of services for that, like how to reach out to investors, how to meet them, what are the business models behind, what is the sustainability strategy. So there's a lot to find on our website about all of that. And I'm only going to really focus on one of the services, and that's the next slide. No, that's still the funding opportunities. So we also provide funding opportunities. This might maybe be more for the SMEs in the room now. So if you're an SME, this is something where you can go, where we can help you with our innovation actions to really do an application experiment. And you can find those hubs who provide such funding on the map on the left in the different areas. And then going to the next slide. This is really the one thing I wanted to show you is the marketplace. So here the marketplace is really something where we gather all of our services and all of our trainings and the collaboration opportunities. So this is something where you can go, what is in terms of technologies and services behind this initiative, but you can also start collaborating here. And on the next slide, we kind of ordered this according to really what is in your proposal or what is behind such a digital innovation hub or European digital innovation hub. And we kind of ordered the services according to those main pillars. So what you can find for the test before invest, for example, you have the technologies there, you have the experimentation facilities, which you can find, you have tech and business services. For the support to find investments, it's funding opportunities, but also how to connect to investors. For the training opportunities, we provide the trainings, a calendar of trainings, but also the trainings that had been held. You can find the material behind. And for the innovation and ecosystem, you will find individual digital innovation hubs there. You can interact with users, or you will find success stories. So yes, for the next slide, you can see how to really get there. So this is the SAE marketplace. You will have to register, but nevertheless, then once you have registered, you're kind of into this world of the Smart Anything Everywhere marketplace. So I think this might be very interesting for you as a tool, as an example tool. And if you want to connect to us, I'm also showing some links later how to connect to us. But the slide before, still maybe not to be missed. I think it might not only be digital innovation hubs within this meeting. So if you're in digital innovation hub, of course, there's a lot to see and learn from the project. And if you connect with us, we can tell you a lot more about this, of course, about the services, about the tools, about our events too, about how to connect. But in case you're in SME or public organization, for now it's rather the startups, SMEs and mid-caps. Here, the initiative really provides funding opportunities, provides knowledge sharing, provides networking, and also further investments. If you're a hub, as said, you can really interact with our ecosystem. If you're an academic, you will find interesting things too, like a technology radar, like really looking at upcoming technologies. And if you're a policymaker, you can also connect with the networks. Okay, and then the next slide is only the links, in fact, and thank you very much with this. Thank you, Maite.
Thank you very much, Mike. You were able to make it on time, and I know how challenging it is. So a kind reminder to our audience, the Slido is available for you. We are waiting for your feedback, so please go to the link and give us your answers to the questions. And now we give the floor to Rika Virkunen from VTT, who will present Connected Factories. Rika, please. We cannot hear you, Rika. Rika? Okay. Maybe we are going to give a couple of minutes to Rika to reconnect again. And in the meantime, Maria, maybe we can go to the next part and we can invite Hugo from Photon Hub Europe.
I'm sorry. I'm
yeah,
here.
Rika is here.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The video doesn't work. I will not.
No worries.
Sorry, you can see my picture there. I'm so sorry. Okay, hello. Thank you for the opportunity to tell about Connected Factories too. So my name is Rika Virkunen. I'm coordinator of this CSA action. I work at VTT, Technical Research Center of Finland, and also VTT itself is quite active in the many of the digitalization projects ongoing, the platforms, and also the digital innovation hubs. We are a key partner of the National Manufacturing Digital Innovation Hub candidate. The Connected Factories CSA, so please keep the first slide, Sylvia, thank you. So it belongs to the group of the Horizon 2020 projects that have the overall ambition to support Europe's global leadership in smart manufacturing. So it's dedicated for the manufacturing industries and their digitalization. So in particular, through developing the digital platforms, the cross-cutting technologies, and supporting the workforce in manufacturing industries in their skills development. So the overall motivation of this project and the connected innovation actions is that there are advances needed in the digital manufacturing platforms, I mean technological and advances, so which are very important, the platforms, because we need to make the data from the manufacturing, from the shop floor, from the supply chain visible to all stakeholders, and also allow for new data-based business models and the transition towards more green manufacturing. So these projects are really motivated to accelerating the digital technologies in the manufacturing industries. Of course, the CSA, so it is a support action, as the name tells, and it's particularly supporting the DIHs 07 projects, the digital manufacturing platforms for connected factories. But it is also supporting other communities and technical projects that can help and connect to the manufacturing, smart manufacturing in Europe. And it's also not so that it's limited only to European activities, but we also try to reach for local and national activities. You can see on the left-hand side that we have a broad consortium, excellent, wonderful, excellent partners, 19 partners from all over Europe. So this is really a thought thing. We want to connect to different regions and get feedback from different national and local initiatives, and also spread the sort of the results and try to be very impactful in all areas. You can see also the website there. So EFRA is very strong here in the CSA. So there was a previous CSA also before this project, which was coordinated by EFRA, and we all the time use the sort of the power of EFRA in this project, and therefore also connect to the very broad community of the factories of the future partnership, and hopefully also in the future in the Made in Europe partnership for manufacturing. Next slide, please. So here you can also see, so on the right-hand side is the Connected Factories website, so you can follow it and the Twitter feed for C Factory. And on the left-hand side, you can see the EFRA Innovation Portal, so which is, of course, a much broader portal, not only for this project, but it is already has collected a wonderful set of use cases and information and everything that is related to the innovative and advancing the manufacturing research and development and innovation activities in Europe. Next one, please. So the Connected Factories CSA project has done many things, but in particular, it has been developing digitalization pathways dedicated for manufacturing. So different kind of manufacturing instances. You can see that how the digitalization should go if you want to advance from a very basic level or non-digitalized level 1 towards the very highly digitalized level 5. So we have been developing this pathway with a big group of people, and you can see it is about the manufacturing digitalization, but it is also going further towards how the companies can turn towards circular economy business models or database businesses. Next one, please. So if we think about the digital innovation hubs, there's a very good match in the ambitious, so really trying to accelerate the digitalization in the companies, in this case, manufacturing companies, and also developing the skills. And these, for example, these pathway tools is something that you can take into use in your digital innovation hubs. The other thing that I would like to stress is that you in your communities have definitely excellent use cases and demonstrators how to do this in practice. And it would be wonderful if we could learn from those cases and have these cases visible in the EFRA Innovation Portal and also mapped on these pathways. This way we can also learn back and also make inspiring, illustrating cases for the SMEs, how to do and how to proceed in the digitalization. So the ambition is that the DIHs would become evangelists of the pathways and use them as their everyday tools in the hubs and in the local communities. You can see here the contacts whom to contact if you're interested, and we are really interested to get the pointers to the use cases and to the key enabling technologies that are developed in the hubs and in the innovation actions around Europe. Next one, please. So finally, just again summarizing that we have an excellent synergy between the DIHs and the CSA and the innovation actions here, and especially because we're talking here about manufacturing with the I4MS hubs. And please use these pathways and go into the portal to look at the inspiring use cases and enrich that one and make also your results visible, because together we can then show the impact also, I mean, in Europe and for the whole European community, and then from the big community to the individual smaller SMEs. Thank you.
Thank you, Rika, also for staying on time. Now we change and we go to another technology. We go to photonics and to another huge ecosystem. So please, Hugo, can you present us your approach?
Thank you, Maite, for the introduction. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. So good morning, everyone. My name is Hugo Tienpont. I'm going to present you Photon Hub, the Photonics Innovation Hub for Europe. And in particular, I'm going to focus on how we will try to work with the regions, how we are exploring funding on cross-border experiments, and how we connect with the European Digital Innovation Hubs. Next, please. Okay, like many other innovation hubs, we are providing services like orienteering, training and reskilling, deep innovation support at technology readiness levels 3 to 8, business coaching, investment coaching, and regional support. Next, please. The difference, however, is that we're focusing on a key digital technology that is photonics. Photonics, the science and technology that innovates with the unique properties of light. And you see here an awful lot of different application areas that I think are very well known. Next slide, please. Okay, photonics, of course, is a sector in itself with more than 5,000 SMEs focusing on photonics products and photonics innovation. But besides that, there are 260,000 high-tech SMEs that can benefit from the opportunities that photonics has to offer for their innovation. And that, again, as I said, in different industry sectors like manufacturing, health, agro, food, energy, mobility. Next slide, please. Okay, so the way we're supporting these SMEs and mainly first-time users is through a pipeline system where we are orienteering these companies towards training, business and financial coaching, but mainly with deep technology support through innovation projects, short projects with a certain lump sum that we don't provide them with, but it's a certain value that we give them in supporting them with expertise and real prototyping, upscaling, and even manufacturing. Most of our 19 million euro budget is actually going to that deep technology innovation support. Next, please. So that innovation support is provided by 36 technology support partners from 15 member states with more than 500 experts and 8 technology platforms, 6 business support partners. But in addition, we are linking up with 20 local photonics hub partners. Some of them are what we call lighthouse regions, very advanced in smart focusing on photonics with a lot of local funding. Others are early adopters that would like to have that status of lighthouse regions and that can learn a lot from the lighthouse regions. Next, please. So, of course, first we need to find those SMEs that need that photonics innovation, and we call that lead generation. And that is done through Photon Hub centrally or all our RTO partners, but also the local hubs locally are finding those SMEs that are in need of photonics innovation, and we bring those together in one central pipeline. Next, please. Okay, and so if we see that those companies are needing support, photonics innovation support, and that best support can be found locally, then of course the funding of that project will have to happen locally. However, if the best support that those companies need can be found only cross-border, that means in other member states, then the Photon Hub will fund those support projects from the 19 million euros that we have. Next slide, please. So working with the local hubs is very important for doing that lead generation, but we also are working with the local hubs to get to the local decision makers in the region to find co-funding. Co-funding for the SMEs locally and co-funding for the cross-border innovation support. So to the left, you see all the local photonics hubs to whom we are linked up, and we're working then with them to reach out to those regions. Next slide, please. So how will we work with the regions? Well, the first thing we do is, of course, get in touch with the local decision makers and politicians through our local hubs. They are really the facilitators to do so. Then we showcase a portfolio of star-performing innovative companies that are active in that region, and we show the leverage that we can create, and we start discussing with the local decision makers to see whether co-funding is possible, either through new co-funding instruments or adapting the scope of existing funding instruments, or discussing our seal of excellence. And our hope is really to at least in a couple of years find 7 to 10 of those regions that each commit 500,000 euros annually, because of course our funding will stop in 2024 and we have to continue our innovation support, and the only way to do that is through regional co-funding. So this is really, really very important. And if you're in a region and you'd like to touch base with us, please do so. Next slide, please. Okay, the second thing we want to do is we want to exchange best practices between the best regions and the early adopter regions. And also we'd like to create new local photonics innovation hubs, or let me say differently, we'd like to team up with local digital hubs if they also want to innovate with photonics, or at least orienteer the local companies to us for photonics innovation. We're already covering 50% of the EU member states, but that leaves us with the other 50%. So every digital innovation hub, local digital innovation hub that would like to contact us to team up for the next 4, 5, and maybe 10 years, more than welcome to do so. Next slide, please. And finally, photonics is only one of the key digital technologies, one of the key enabling technologies. There are many other technologies that the companies need, and so we'd like to really team up with all the other digital innovation hubs, the ones in robotics, manufacturing, agro-food, but many, many others, in order to be part of that large digital ecosystem. We're going to do that through a community building platform that Funding Box is currently setting up for us, and to share with all of you our best practices and also to learn from you. But in particular, we would like to transfer customer leads between our Photon Hub and the other digital innovation hubs in order to facilitate as much as possible the innovation for the SMEs, because photonics, of course, is not the only digital technology that they will need. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you really want to support us, if you really want to get in touch with us in order to make that ecosystem and to help your SMEs find where the photonics innovation is, I would invite you to contact us via info@photonhub.eu, and we're really looking forward to working with you in the next decade. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hugo. Let's now switch to big data. We have with us Daniel Alonso, who is representing the EU Hubs for Data project. Daniel, please.
Thanks, Maite. I guess that you can see and hear me well, right? So,
yes.
First of all, thanks for the opportunity to present our project in front of this audience. For us, it's very qualified. So yes, my name is Daniel Alonso, and I am project manager in ITI. It's a research and technology center in the Valencia region in Spain. I am the coordinator of the EU Hubs for Data project. So just to start with, in the next slide, you can see some general information of the project. Maria, if you go to the next slide, please. This project has been funded under the call DIHs 1605, who Elena presented before, Data-Driven Innovation Hubs. We just started in September last year, and you can see here we have 12 million of budget, more than 12 million. But more than half of this budget has to be devoted to support both technically and financially SMEs and startups. So in this way, we are organizing several open calls in the project to attract SMEs and to propose experiments. So if you go to the next slide, Maria, this is a more detailed description of the project. So the main objective is to establish an European Federation of Data-Driven Innovation Hubs, but also to become the European reference for data-driven innovation and experimentation. So the idea is for all these data-driven hubs to collaborate in the setup of the federated catalog, involving bringing together services, data sets, and other data-driven assets, and also to make all this offer available at the regional level by the different hubs involved in the federation. So this is just the starting point. As you can see here, now the consortium is composed of 12 data-driven innovation hubs that are relevant in the European ecosystem. Probably you know many of them. And this group was driven by the group of iSpaces in the Big Data Value Association. But it's not just this is just the starting point. As you can see in the right side of the slide, we have based the project in 6 pillars. So the first one is this starting point of hubs, but the second pillar is the evolution of this network, this federation. So the plan is for this group to grow during the project, but also after the project, to this federation to grow up and to cover as many regions of Europe as possible. So the third point is about the community. So also it's very important for us to attract relevant initiatives in the European ecosystem. For instance, now we are trying to align with the DIHs, but also with other initiatives. For instance, the new data spaces that will be part of the EU program, the testing and experimentation facilities, and other instruments again in the European landscape. The fourth pillar is the offer, and this is why we are creating this federated catalog, composing a combined offer of all the assets of the involved DIHs. The fifth pillar is the demand. So we are also attracting the demand in the project, and this is why I mentioned before, we are running 3 open calls to attract SMEs to propose experiment that will make use of the services of the Federation. We just closed the open call 1 month ago. We got more than 19 applicants, and we have selected the first 10 experiments that we will carry out in the scope of the project. And the sixth pillar is the future. So the idea is for this federation to outlive the project. The project is just the starting point, but we are defining all the models to keep this federation in place once the project is done. But now let me focus on the second pillar, which is the evolution. And if you go to the next slide, this is how we are planning to make this evolution during the project. Okay. So we are going to launch an open call for DIHs that it will launch the next month, the 15th of April. So again, we are launching this open call for DIHs, and it will be aligned with the annual call that in the scope of BDBA, of the Big Data Value Association, we call for to recognize iSpaces. Okay, so the idea is to use the same criteria to recognize iSpaces, and from those iSpaces to select the most relevant hubs that will contribute to the project. From those DIHs, we will select 80 that will receive financial support, more than 1 million euros, to carry out some activities in the project. But of course, apart from these 18 DIHs with financial support, our idea is to involve also other DIHs in the activities of the project to participate in several tasks. We have a whole task devoted in the project to plan all those activities with new DIHs. Again, beyond the financial support, we are also proposing other activities. In the next slide, even though we are still working on the guidelines for applicants and also on the details of the call and the budget and so on, here you can see just a very draft, or what we are planning for those financial supported DIHs. So the idea is that they integrate also the services and the assets in our catalog, in the catalog of the Federation, so that they can have all those services ready and eligible for the next open call for experiments. So as I mentioned before, in this open call for experiments, we are asking SMEs to propose experiment using the assets, the services of the Federation. So these DIHs will have also those services ready for those experiments. Also to support the participants in the experiments that they have been selected, but also to help us to support dissemination activities about the project and the different activities of the inside the Federation. Here you can see the budget that we are working now. So all those DIHs will have a fixed budget to support in the activities, and depending on how many experiments are they finally involved, they will receive a budget also to support the SMEs in those experiments. Again, this is the first draft. The call will be published in 1 month, less than 1 month, and then you will have all the information in the web page of the project, guidelines, and also all those aspects refined. But if you go to the next slide, it's not only about funding. Okay, as we mentioned before, our idea is to attract also additional DIHs that could contribute to the evolution and the assets of the Federation. Of course, from our group, from our project and the Federation, we will support giving access to knowledge, the data sharing techniques that we are implementing in the project, and all the experience and the best practices that we are now to carry out. Also, connection and collaboration with all other relevant DIHs. As I presented before, now we are 12, but our idea is to increase up to 30 with financial support, but more than that, of course, and be part of the future Federation of Data-Driven Innovation Hubs. Of course, it also allows you to increase and improve your offer in terms of services, collaborating with us, but also to add value to your local ecosystem of SMEs and startups. Okay, because by doing so, you will have access to more services, more assets, additional value that you can include in your portfolio. Also, visibility and positioning at European level as part of the activities of the Federation. We are participating in many events. Also, together with BDBA, the Big Data Value Association, we are organizing upcoming events in the next months. And of course, part of this project will be participants of that. So, and that's it from my side. So as you can see here, we can propose support to SMEs, but also to DIHs. So if you are interested, we encourage all of you to stay tuned. Here you can see the connection details of the project, but also my email. If you want to learn more, please be in contact with us and be happy to collaborate with you all. Okay.
Thank you so much, Daniel. We now switch to the robotics ecosystem. So Reinhard Lafrent will present the Roding CSA and the opportunities that we can find there for DIHs. Reinhard, please.
Okay, thank you, Maite. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes.
That's fine. Okay. So maybe you can just switch to the next slide already. So the background of our initiative is that we have identified a couple of priority areas where robotics might have an impact, especially to drive innovation, and of course also areas which are of societal relevance. And we identified 4 areas. This is healthcare, agri-food, maintenance and inspection of infrastructure, and last but not least, agile production. And for all of those areas, we do have a innovation action, and the whole landscape is covered by one CSA on top of those innovation actions, or you could also say they are under them, because we try to support the innovation actions. The individual areas here are very, very broad, and therefore it's clear that there are very specific communities that need to be linked together. And the communities that are not yet linked, we try to bring in touch with each other, and we are looking forward also to see some transfer potential, for example, between agri-food, maintenance and inspection, or any other combination here, because we see that a lot of technologies are developed in different areas, more or less in the same direction, but the structural link is very, very important. Maybe you can switch to the next slide here. Okay, this disappeared. Okay, the overall landscape here shows that Roden as the CSA connects to the areas, the 4 areas, but we have 5 projects under these 4 areas. So in the area of agile production, we have even 2 projects running. And for example, Rika from the VTT Institute in Finland, she already presented the other initiative. And of course, there are very, very close links here for the technology areas. But the links we need to still make is between the areas, and therefore the brokerage we provide is very important. In contrast to the 2 previous speakers, we are not a big innovation action. We are, in inverted commas, just a very small CSA, which is mainly in the role of a facilitator between the innovation actions, which themselves drive the individual networks. So each of those individual innovation actions, DIH Hero, AgroBoFood, and the others, have underlying networks of the actual digital innovation hubs, and therefore we are 2 levels up from them. And we do not interact directly with the individual hubs, but we try to facilitate it on the network level. And this is especially important as we have also very close links being involved in the dnet.eu project, which was presented by Maurits in the very beginning, in the first presentation. And this is something to bring the robotics community in touch with all the others, with photonics, with big data, and with others, partly through the dnet.eu, but also via other direct contacts. Maybe you can switch to the next slide, please. So when you look at the overall landscape here, you can see in the map, when you combine the underlying digital innovation hubs from each of the individual areas, this is something which is absolutely relevant and covers quite a bit of Europe. So the different colors here mean different types of institutions, and you can here see also a very good mix between academic institutions, smaller or larger RTOs, but also a lot of industry, which is represented here. And this mix gives a very good access to the overall landscape, which is also geographically distributed. So this gives us a very good opportunity to start with a community creation from a robotics perspective and to link different application areas. And of course, we are acting as an entry point. And one of the key elements is the structural communication and some joint activities to strengthen the links between the DIH networks. And here we also foster the exchange on pain points, things that come up in the individual DIH networks here, and it can be discussed on a broader level across the different application domains, and sometimes it's really clear that the others share the same issues, and then we can facilitate this exchange here. Maybe you can go to the next slide, please. So what we provide to the DIH networks is we involve them in structural discussions, and therefore we set up a couple of working groups. One is on the financial support to third parties. This is something which we have for all the individual hubs. We don't issue something ourselves. We have some on resilience. This came up especially during the beginning of the COVID crisis. One additional working group is also on the sustainability of the networks themselves to bridge into the landscape of EDIHs later on, and also one on communication to have a broader common dissemination channel possible. Of course, there are also other things like harmonization of terminology, definitions, especially regarding FSTP, common dissemination activities, and also the already mentioned uplink to DNet and the other networks, including the precursor network, which leads into the discussion for the EDIs. Maybe next slide, please. The individual DIH networks, the mentioned projects, they provide the actual information about the linked DIHs. They offer a lot of topic-specific webinars, online events, brokerage, showcasing of solutions, sometimes also something related to standards like in healthcare. Just to mention one upcoming event on end of May, there is a DIH Hero Knowledge Conference, and many other things can be found on our website and the website of the individual DIH networks. Next slide, please. So there are also a lot of funding opportunities, as said, not offered by us directly, but indirectly from the individual networks. And there are 3 upcoming calls, plus there is one on healthcare, which will be issued also soon. The call, as far as I understood, will be open on 1st of April, and the call deadline would be end of June. So there is a lot of opportunity also to find the right funding sources. If you are from a SME or if you are linked to SMEs, you can also forward the information. You can also find all the information on our webpage, but also on the individual DIH web pages. Next slide, please. So here, the question is how to connect. There are a lot of offers available by the networks, and the networks aim at individual long-term strategies. So the whole setup should be longer term than the individual projects last. And we have already the pan-European structure with a focus on specific application areas, always from a robotics perspective. But as you have seen before, there are already existing links, and it would be very good if you connect and if you are part of strengthening the links between the different areas, between the different technologies, and between the different DIHs, but also between the regions and the different countries. Yeah, next slide, please. Thank you very much. One thing I would like to mention just at the end is that the upcoming European Robotics Forum on 13 to 15 April is still in the early bird rate. So there will be a lot of robotics related workshops, information, but also quite a bit project related and DIH related information during these 3 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this interesting overview, Reinhard. Also to the audience, please remember that you can release your questions in the chat and we will answer them at the end of the panel. Now we go to a new player in the game, right? And this is the STARTS project that is giving us the connection with the artists, also with the scientists and the engineers. But I think you will see a different approach here. So let's go with our next panelist. Aurélie, please, you can start. Floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I am Aurélie de la Terre. I am a project manager at Innova, a Portuguese innovation consultancy, and the coordinator of the CSA STARTS ecosystem. So START is an initiative of the European Commission born over 5 years ago to foster alliances between science, technology, and the arts, with a focus on technological innovation and human values. START is for scientists, engineers, artists, research labs, and tech companies, and the society in general. Next, please. So START is not a single project. It's an initiative that lives through many different projects funded by European programs as H2020 and Horizon Europe. So this ecosystem of funded projects works together based on 4 pillars. We have now 9 projects running with more than 50 partners. So I will not go through all the pillars today, but I would like to tell you about the residencies one, because it's one of the main activities of STARTS and a great way to connect with digital innovation hubs. So a residency is when an artist spends some time, generally between 6 and 12 months, in a company or a research lab and co-creates a new solution or a new product that is art-driven. Next, please. So STARTS has grown a lot in the past years, with now a worldwide network of more than 6,000 people. And STARTS expands at regional level with the creation of START centers in 13 regions of Europe. So I invite you to find out more and connect with these innovative centers if you are interested in local collaborations. Next. So since last year, STARTS has even its own digital innovation hubs, where a part of the activities of these 3 projects that you see in the screen is about supporting collaborations between the arts and technology. So Vogext is the first project. It encourages producers and SMEs to adopt connective autonomous systems for human-robot interaction and dynamizes science-driven industry approaches, engaging human and cyber-physical systems in the same loop. Media Futures brings together startups, SMEs, and artists in the media value chain to come up with unconventional ways for people to engage with quality journalism, science education, and democratic processes. Better Factory brings artists from the STARTS network together with manufacturing SMEs to support them in diversifying their product portfolio to meet new market demands. Next. So STARTS funding projects very regularly open calls where the digital innovation hubs, tech companies, and research labs apply to collaborate with artists. Better Factory has currently an open call open, of course. Their approach is to gather manufacturers, artists, and tech suppliers that will work together for 12 months to co-create new products that are innovative, but also ethical, sustainable, and ahead of the economy of the future. If selected, the consortia will explore new markets using digital technologies, test and develop new lean agile production technologies with a RAMP marketplace, get training, business support, and mentoring, and receive up to 200K in equity-free funding. So the deadline of expression of interest is today. So if you are interested, you will have to hurry up, but there will be other open calls coming in the next months. So these are the kind of opportunities that you as digital innovation hubs and companies and startups can explore as an applicant, but also as a promoter. And if you are interested, I invite you to connect with me to know more. So why should digital innovation hubs, tech companies, and scientists involve artists in their thinking and production processes? So first of all, I would say that artists think out of the box and bring unexpected outputs to companies and thus contribute to their innovation. They push the boundaries of experiments. and check old habits. They have this ability to engage, to criticize, and bring new perspectives. It is also proven that working in an interdisciplinary environment is beneficial for the innovation. And finally, I would say that artists are really attached to environment, social, and ethical values, and will bring this to your company or consortium. And this is something that you can use in your strategy and storytelling as a competitive value proposition. Next, please. We know that expressing the wish to collaborate with artists is one thing, but actually building a successful cross-disciplinary collaboration is something completely different. It takes a good preparation, clear objectives, willing participants, and the suitable methodology to get off to a good start. So within the START ecosystem project, we have developed a toolkit as a practical resource to support artists, researchers, technology experts, and companies in finding a common ground and language by offering guidance to plan and execute a successful collaborative project. So this is a concrete way to be supported in your collaboration with artists. Next, please. So all this information and resources are available in start.eu. And we also organize every 15 days meetups to gather the community, but also to approach specific topics such as manufacturing or START's impact in fashion. And so I invite you also to participate if you are interested, and I will also be happy to connect with you if you want to know more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aurélie. I think you gave us some food for thought, okay, that will offer a different dimension on how we can act. Now our final pitch, and it goes for I4MS. My colleague Maria Roca, who is project manager there, will present this, and she is the one on the controls. So, Maria, please go ahead.
So thank you all. The bar is very high since all the speakers respected the timing, so I will put the timing also for me. So yeah, we have been mentioning a lot, what is I4MS. So just to let you know that our final goal of I4MS as a CSA and all the innovation actions that participate is to contribute to the adaptation of European SMEs to the current digital transformation challenge. And how we do this? So the different innovation actions provide funding and mentorship, also training opportunities, and access to physical and virtual technology platforms. As you can see, I4MS is an initiative that started in 2013. So now we are in phase 4. That is our objective as a CSA is to consolidate the collaboration in the pan-European network of DIHs. And that's why we thought this session could be of your interest to know what are really the benefits and how you can take profit of the outcomes of the different projects. So yes, so similar to Rodin and Smart Anything Everywhere, there are different projects, some of them that are from phase 3 and some of them on phase 4 that are supporting manufacturing SMEs. But also they are building tools and services around the different technologies to make sure that the manufacturing SMEs are able to uptake these technologies and also that the DIHs can benefit from the work that this project has been doing. Also, as Maurice was mentioning, at the end, we, the CSAs and the innovation actions are at the European level, and sometimes it's difficult for us also to reach the regional level. And that's why, the connection with DIHs in order to make sure that the SMEs can really benefit from all the results of the project and funding opportunities is very important to us. As you can see, currently, there are, in this 4th phase, there are 8 innovation actions. They are offering cascade funding opportunities, so funding support, and also support to DIHs, okay? There are many projects that are engaging with DIHs from one side with training opportunities, from the other to, to promote that they become service providers of the SMEs that will be selected within their open calls. So I think there are plenty of opportunities that you should explore here. So we as a CSA, what do we bring to the ecosystem? So first of all, we have this I4MS online community, okay, that you can find all information about the different innovation actions, the funding opportunities, and be updated, on what is going on the different projects. So you can also, through this online community, connect with all the individuals and the people that are part of these projects. And you can see here a picture of me. You can connect with me via the online community. But also, through the community, we try to also provide resources and tools for the DIHs, for the SMEs, to understand better what is the offer, why they should take advantage of digital transformation technologies. And that's why we have created a catalog of best practice. That is the image that you can see on the right side. And we are also building an I4MS catalog of trainings that gathers all the trainings related to the different technologies that I4MS is promoting. So in case that you are a DIH that has a training that you would like to promote it and showcase it, please contact us. We will be more than happy to include it in our catalog. And also, as Maurice was mentioning, this idea of the DIHs being the connector between the European and the regional, we are building an I4MS contact point network that I invite you to join. Is a network of organizations and digital innovation hubs that support SMEs that want to be updated with the latest trends on the digital transformation, then will receive first-hand information on the open call opportunities and also some training in order to better communicate with the SMEs what are the advantages and how they can benefit from the open calls. Also, we act as a broker between the ecosystem and the innovation actions. So you can always make use of our brokering system in case that you have questions, because there are many innovation actions. So I invite you, to get in touch with us, so we can also put you through the person that can support you in a specific case. So what are really the opportunities and the tools, the services that you can benefit from? So first of all, we have the open calls at the end. Yes, of course, the Cascade funds or these funds are to support manufacturing SMEs, but they can be also a vehicle for you to support your SMEs in your ecosystem. Sometimes we realize that getting in touch with potential applicants is not so easy. This pandemic is not helping us in this sense, but you are the ones working with the SMEs. You know their needs. You know where they want to go. You know what are their ideas, or the challenge they are facing, and you can suggest them to go to one open call or another, because you have the knowledge of your ecosystem, and also you have the knowledge on the needs of your SMEs. So I saw popping up a question on the chat about the Cascade funding. There are small grants that are delivered to the equity-free funding that is released from the different innovation actions to the SMEs. So you can see here the calendar of open calls. At the end of my presentation, I have left a link to all the open calls information of all the innovation actions. So later you can check in the PPT. But moreover, there are also available tools. As I was explaining, we are now starting phase 4, but we have already results from phase 3. We have already digital platforms that cluster all the services and all the technologies that they have been developing throughout the years and put it at the disposal of the manufacturing SMEs, technology providers, and also, the DIHs. So there are platforms and tools that you can go there, and also from one side, they can serve you to broaden your portfolio of services, but also, to ask your technology provider to offer their services there, and of course benefit from the services that these different projects have built for you. Okay, there are supporting in different technology areas. You can see them listed here. And also I wanted to mention that, the projects that are now in phase 4 are going also to populate and to contribute to increase the offer and the solutions that are provided in the platforms that I'm mentioning here. Okay. So for instance, I wanted to give you clear examples on the type of services that you can find in these platforms. For instance, in the case of AI Regio, they are already listing 50 different services offered by DIHs. They are working in the area of AI, and they will provide, present AI-enabled technological assets. So, it's a good opportunity also to get in contact with the projects and see how you can contribute there. Also, they are organizing didactic factories, also training opportunities for the DIHs. In the case of Pulsate, they are also supporting SMEs in conducting market analysis. And of course, we'll also develop some training for the DIHs that are interested in manage or deal with this type of technologies. Also, in the case of Change to Twin, which is an innovation action supporting the uptake of digital twins, they launched recently a call for DIHs to certify them, to offer them training in order for them to become service providers. So then afterwards, there will be a call for SMEs, and the DIHs that have been certified will have the opportunity to support those SMEs along the experiment, the application of the experiment. So this opportunity will be available also at the end of this year and next year. So in case that you are a digital innovation hub interested in enlarging your portfolio of services, or you want to be updated on the latest trends on digital twins, I really invite you, to take a look to what they are offering. And the same for DigiBrain and also DIH World, that is focusing on the underrepresented regions, at the end, in order to tackle the digital divide. So just to finalize my presentation, you as a DIH, how you can connect and how we can help you. So first, if you want to be updated of all the opportunities, access the I4MS community, also to get first-hand information and help us in raising awareness to the SMEs on what are the benefits of digital transformation, please become I4MS contact point. And of course, we are also, we have different working groups on upskillings and best practices that we are looking forward to know more about regional examples or DIHs that have good practices in that areas that would like to share with us. Again, contribute to the catalog of trainings, and of course, thanks to your support, we are also will support you in getting media exposure for you and visibility. And yeah. Also, you can meet in next events. You can see them here. You will find in the community. And as Reinhard mentioned, we will be also at the European Robotics Forum. So thank you.
Thank you, Maria. I think that was really a good summary to finalize our pitching session, where if we look at the main blocks, we can first find the funding. There's still some funding you can directly benefit from, even when normally the cascade funding, and especially on the new period, will not be addressed directly to the EDIHs. But as Maria was saying, it can be a vehicle, right, for you to support your companies and to reinforce their journey in the digital transformation. We also saw different digital solutions that you can make use of. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Maybe we can allocate our time and our budget to implement and to deploy Okay, those solutions are local level, but using the ones that are already developed. So we have here a very good showcase of options through all these initiatives. And then it's about the services and the networking that is available for you through all those trainings, through all those events. And to finalize with, and maybe I didn't hear so much today, or I did not realize, but to me it's also very relevant about the best practices and the success stories. All those companies that we are supporting in all these initiatives can be used by you as an inspiring, right, to attract new companies. So we know that at regional level, many of them are still in a very early stage in terms of digital transformation. So maybe showing those inspiring cases of test before invest that went through our programs, you can push them, right, for them to try. So thank you all for pitching. As I was mentioning, we were using Slido during the session, and here are some of the results. So Maria, please tell us a little bit which are the conclusions, and then I will go with some questions. Maybe I will take 5 more minutes of your time. But first, let's listen, Maria.
So what is the main area in which you would like to collaborate with the projects presented today? So we have the main result is the cross-EU EDIH collaboration. I think, this is mainly why we are here, to exploring new ways of collaborating. Also, I see robotics, AI, IoT as keywords here, and also the exchange of good practices. And I think indeed the change of good practices is something that the CSAs really work hard in that sense. I really invite you to connect in order also to present your good practices, because there are plenty of DIHs and SMEs and regional authorities looking forward for new ways of collaborating and best practices that they can learn from. Maybe going to the next one. What are your main challenge as a DIH candidate? Eddie, I see funding. So as we were explaining, the use of the cascade funds as a way, as a vehicle to support your SMEs is something to be explored. Also in the future programs, there will be this type of funding opportunities, not for DIHs, always for the SMEs. I think it's a really good mechanism also, to contribute to reach the SMEs the goals that are, or to face the challenge. Also, co-funding is one of the challenges. Innovate service offer. So I think the webinar today, is very useful in that sense, because we presented a lot of services and technology offer. Also to find relevant partners. Yes, in that case, yes. For instance, in the case of I4MS or other networks, that they have platforms for community building where you can connect with other peers, I think might be a good solution for this. And yes, let's move to the next one, because I don't think we have a lot of time. And finally, how do you see your role as a DIH candidate in using these services provided by the SMEs? So disseminating the services offered is the winning answer. I really think DIHs and EDIHs have a clear role here. They are key brokers for this type of innovation actions to reach the final beneficiaries that are the SMEs. And with this, I think we can go back to Maite.
Okay, thank you, Maria. We are almost there, but I still, want to raise some questions. I will take one from the chat, because I can see that many of them are related to the call on EDIs. So maybe we can gather them and then send them to the commission for them to answer directly. I will just focus on one of them that someone is asking to you, Elena. Okay, about the digital maturity tool that you were introducing at the beginning. There will be an event on this. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit on what you are thinking as a maturity assessment tool and what is the purpose of using this? Elena Rodriguez?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yeah. So yeah, we are trying to not to develop completely from the scratch, because we have some tools already available in the market, and it's in fact it's GRC that is doing this work with our support and the coordination of my unit. But yeah, at this moment we are analyzing, or they did already. So they did this part of this analysis of the tools that are already available in the market, and now they are writing the description exactly what we need, and they are developing a questionnaire. Then we will try to have a pilot phase with some SMEs to try to gather the information that we need. And the purpose of all this information, it's then to have the KPIs that we will try to collect data during the duration of the EDIH, and try to collect the data at the beginning of the process, in the middle, at the end, to understand what was the evolution and the impact of the SMEs and at the EDIH side as well, and see the impact of the Digital Europe program. Yeah, but this will be explained so in detail in this webinar in May, and it's not, we will not present something that is completely defined. No, we will present what we have till the moment. We will try to have as much closed as possible, but it's then we will the objective of the webinar, it's then to receive the feedback from the EDIHs and from everyone participating in the webinar, and discuss and see what is the best way then to move on.
Okay, thank you, Elena. I see another question maybe that I have you in front now. Maybe you can clarify, right? Because we were mentioning that there will be no cascade funding through Digital Europe for the EDIs. That is, I think, well known at this stage. But maybe you can say some things about cascade funding for DIHs through the New Horizon. Is there any option there?
Not in the digital program, no DIHs. But in the Euro program, yes, we will have, so like the continuation what we have now in the Horizon 2020. Yeah, but it's, yeah, I don't know exactly if it will be exactly in the same as we have now for H2020, yeah, because as you know, it's still under approval.
It's a work in progress. Okay, exactly. But I wanted to clarify this because I think people, they need to know.
In digital program, no cascade funding.
Okay, thank you, Elena. Maybe one question for Maike. So we were talking about the role of the DIHs maybe as a vehicle, right? For if they are not benefiting from this cascade funding, in most of the calls you were presenting in SAE, they still can play an important role, right? So can you give us some examples according to SAE initiative on how the DIHs are supporting SMEs, right, on taking profit of this cascade funding?
Okay, so correct. In our ecosystem, it's really the cascading funding that they can provide, which will not be the case for the EDIHs. But I think the services as such might nevertheless be the same. So it's still the test before invest, it's still the skills, it's still the connect them to the further investment, like the investors, putting the SMEs in contact with the investors, and it's also still the ecosystem. So I think maybe just to say these projects have been maybe a model to see what can be done, and both sides had funding. So the innovation actions and the digital innovation hubs had a funding, and the SMEs even also got a funding to collaborate, which I think is quite a luxurious situation to have funding on both sides to collaborate. And we kind of tested this out and saw that it was a really good thing to do this, but in future there will not necessarily be that funding from both sides, but nevertheless it might be for free for the SMEs or at a reduced price. But what we had found out is really that these services are very interesting for the SMEs, that they can be helped a lot. And I think many of them, besides the cascade funding, will still be ongoing. So maybe just to say such things as an investors event, or such things like matching supply and demand, or such things like on a marketplace, showing the technologies that are there of the digital innovation hubs, and the SMEs can then go there if they're interested in a specific technology. So I think most of this, what has been a model in a way before, can survive without the funding from both sides, and the services will not differ that much. So it could be those services which over the time we all tested now and which are there, and the digital innovation hubs have at their hub anyway. So they should have the test before invest, and they should be linking to investment, and they should take care about skills too. So these are really the services we know about which will be taken forward.
Okay, thank you so much. My next question goes to Hugo. You were talking about the involvement of the regions in Photon Hub. So if one of the hubs that is listening to you today wants to involve the region, is there any type of support you can offer to them? Can they address you and ask you for, information or a packet on what they can achieve those regions, right? So can you elaborate a little bit on this, Hugo?
Yes, typically the hubs we're working today are part of Photon Hub Europe, and there is a budget for them. All the others, of course, that are not partners is very difficult. There is no way for us to support them financially. But in the upcoming, what we're going to do is we're going to make Photon Hub in this and a few years an independent organization. And from that point of view, we will be able to then at that moment support them. So I think it's already very important at this stage to team up, link up. We will pay most of the costs that we need to come over to their local regions, to their decision makers, making sure that we will start from there supporting the local SMEs. There is, of course, for them not direct funding, but for the region there is indirect funding, because all the SMEs will benefit from the project support we give them, and that can be hundreds of thousands, millions of euros. So there is no direct cash, unfortunately, at this stage, but in the future there might be.
Okay, anyway, I think it's a good opportunity. Well, unfortunately, I think I need to stop here the discussion. We were a little bit out of time during the presentations. We were afraid of that, but I hope you found all this information, all this mapping of opportunities that we can offer to you is still relevant for your current activities and for the ones that will come once the EDIs are selected. So again, thank you for being here. The presentations will be uploaded at the I4MS community. We are working on more webinars for the candidate EDIs that were the dates and the type of events were presented by Elena, but also in the I4MS community. In this case, we will keep you updated about those upcoming events. And for the questions that were not solved, we will try to find a way, okay? Maybe to posting the answers in the same place in I4MS community. So thank you again to all the panelists for the effort you have done in mapping the opportunities for the DIHs and the EDIs. And again, thank you to all the audience for staying here till the end. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye and thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.